What did you want to be when you grew up? Maybe an astronaut, or a teacher, a millionaire, a movie star. As children, we are encouraged to dream. We are told we can be anything. As adults, we soon learn that it isn't that easy. There are responsibilities and limitations. There's a balancing act between work, family, and friends. And often there are sacrifices as well. That doesn't mean you have to abandon your dreams, of course. Only that you need to approach them realistically, to see all the steps that are required to reach them. To do this, it can sometimes be easier to think of them less as dreams and more as goals.
It's important to set career goals so that you can start working towards them. You can prepare for them, you can open doors that will lead to them, and avoid shutting doors that might bar you from going into them. Another reason for setting career goals is so that when something comes along that maybe is unexpected, you'll say, well, this is exactly what I've been looking for, and you'll be able to react to it and take advantage of it. And some examples I might give of opening doors is, for example, taking math courses. People who take a lot of math in high school and in college open up an awful lot of doors to them. If you don't take algebra, there's so much that you've denied yourself in terms of your career opportunities. An example of opening up a door might be learning how to work spreadsheets. They're being used in so many ways because so much information, financial information, for example, dollars and cents, is done with spreadsheets. So that's a skill that would be very useful to have, and by getting that skill, you've opened up a lot of doors for yourself. Now, there's some kind of behavioral things that go on, like if you quit a job after 2 weeks and alienate everybody there, that's going to shut a lot of doors for yourself also. But think in terms of goals. You want to think in terms of skills that you can learn, maybe possibly even a degree, but it might be just a course that you take that will teach you a new skill that will open up doors for yourself.
Most goals can be broken down into steps, smaller, short-term goals that build up to a larger one. Take a moment to think about one career goal you have. It could be to find a well-paying job or to get your college degree. Now think about all of the steps that are required to reach that goal. Those smaller steps are goals as well, and they may have their own steps. No matter how ambitious the goal, no matter how far-reaching it is, it's important to see it as a series of steps. Achieving each of the smaller goals will provide motivation for reaching the larger one. Reaching your long-term career goals will require a great deal of work, and you are likely to have setbacks. But as long as you keep your goals in focus and create a plan for achieving them, you will be able to get back on track quickly.
I changed my career and I decided I was going to go into real estate, and my ultimate goal was to be here 10 years from when I started. But what I really wanted to accomplish was to have a more flexible schedule so I'd be more available to my family. And because I'm an accountant by background, the finance kind of rung in my ears, and so I wanted to, at a minimum, match the salary that I left, but hopefully to improve that. Basically, there were two steps. I mean, I think when you change careers, you have to kind of have a plan. And so I had to decide, okay, if I want to make this much money, how am I going to source that? So I had to come up with where those sources of income were going to come from. And I picked things like open houses, farming a neighborhood, creating an internet presence, all those types of things that would create a base for me to draw income from. The other thing I did was create a cash reserve because I am an accountant. And before I switched careers, I wanted to have enough money where I could focus on the business and not be distracted by the risk. I think the biggest problem when you go into sales or when you're the business is that you are now everybody. You are the salesperson, you are the payroll person, your accounts payable, your accounts receivable, you are the complaint department, you are the business. And so I think for me, just understanding that I have to wear all those hats, and so I would take somebody through the transaction and I'd be at the closing table with them and I'd close them and I'd turn around and I'd have nobody in my pipeline. because I wasn't focused on the sales piece of that business. So the sales piece had to be done at the entire time I'm doing everything else. To find an expert in that field and take that person to lunch or have a meeting and understand, what are the barriers to that career, and hopefully you pick somebody that's successful in that career and you glean from them what things they've done to make themselves successful. So the first thing I'd do is I'd be a fact finder. The next thing I would do is create a very detailed plan about how you're going to achieve your goal. And the plan, quite frankly, is the easy part. The success really lies in the execution. You have to make so much effort to execute day after day after day.
You also may need to be flexible in how you get there. Not everyone finds career success by the age of 30. You might end up taking a few or even several jobs before you are firmly settled in the career of your dreams. Most judges start out as lawyers, who often started out as clerks. A carpenter usually takes a job as an apprentice before striking out on his or her own. It's important to take advantage of the opportunities that come along so that you can gain the skills and experience you will need to achieve your goals.
I wanted to do something with foreign language or linguistics, and when I tried to explain that to the people who were asking you to declare your major, they didn't really understand what I was asking them, so they started throwing out things like public speaking, then they got to speech and hearing, and I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. So they put me in some introductory classes. I took the classes, and it really piqued my interest. I was really interested I took phonetics. I was very interested in the basis of language and child development, language development, and I decided to pursue that as my career choice or my school choice. And I never wavered. I stayed with it the whole 6 years of school. I think one of the problems is we get all these children and you may not have strengths in all of those areas. So especially the low incidence populations such as people who stutter or children who stutter, you don't get too many children that stutter, especially in the preschool population, because it really is not unusual for a 3-year-old to stutter, but occasionally you'll get a child that comes along who has a real disorder. And if you haven't done that over and over and over again, it's kind of unfamiliar territory for you. So that's an obstacle. The training that you get in the university setting is broad and not real specific to any one disorder. So you get a broad training, but then when you get out into the workforce, you have to know a lot about everything. My advice to people that have big career dreams is that they pursue their career and keep pursuing it no matter what obstacle is in their way. I mean, several times along the way, for me, from year to year, I wondered, will I be back next year? Will I have the funds to continue in college? Will I do well enough? I mean, getting into graduate school is not easy, and for speech and hearing, you really need to get into graduate school. So I think that my biggest advice is just forge through all that and just keep moving forward until you obtain the career that you want. Just work for it. It'll come.
To reach your career goals, you need a plan. The remaining videos in this series will walk you through the steps of choosing, finding, and getting a job that will help you to achieve those goals.
In the next video, we'll talk about getting a job from the employer's point of view. Then videos 3 and 4 help you discover your best skills and choose a job objective.
Video 5 shows you how to organize your job search to get the best results, and Video 6 introduces you to the best methods for going out and generating job leads.
Video 7 gives you tips for creating your resume and other job search documents. Videos 8 and 9 coach you through the interview process so that you can successfully land the job of your dreams.
Finally, the last video gives you strategies for keeping that job and building a successful career.
Remember that the best advice in the world is worthless if you don't act on it. You must take responsibility for finding a job and for living the life you really want.
Set goals, make plans, take action, and success will follow.